Profiles are a great way to apply settings to your ViewSonic devices. Go over to the left and find the Profiles icon. From there, you'll see any profiles that your organization has already created. On the top right, let's add a new profile. What we're going to do is we're going to come in and we're going to give this a profile name. We'll call it Office A. And if we needed to, we could also give the profile a description down here. Next, we'll do the wireless configuration. Here you can add the Wi-Fi SSID, any passwords. You can also choose the type of network authentication. So for example, WPA2. Next, we'll go to display settings. We can now basically take any custom wallpapers that we want to add. So that plus button will let us upload a wallpaper if we wanted to on our computer, or we could use the pre-built ones. Next, under preferences, we can go in here and basically start with language, date and time here. You'll notice on the right you have these toggles that say off, no change, and on. If you leave it to no change, it'll just choose whatever the default setting is on the board. If you turn it off, that will obviously be an off setting. However, if you want to configure it, say for example date and time, we want date and time to be mountain, we need to move that toggle to on. Next, we'll look at the startup and shutdown settings. Here, you'll be able to change a few settings such as the standby mode. One of the most important modes here is the eco mode. The eco mode is an energy setting, and what it does is that it turns off your display after an hour if there's no interactivity. So we normally recommend turning this off. Next, we can assign a startup and shutdown schedule. So you'll see here that we can choose when a device turns on or when a device turns off. Now, if these displays are not being used all the time, you may not want to set a startup and shutdown schedule because you don't want displays turning on if no one is in the room. However, if this is a display that we're using, say for digital signage, we might want this to turn on and off automatically when no one's there. So the way that we do that is we select the days that we want the device to turn on. We can choose the time. Let's say we want this device to start at 8 a.m. and then we'll have it turn off at the end of the day at 7 p.m. and then we say OK, and then that will save the power schedule for that display. Next, we can lock out the settings. This is an important item because you might want to prevent people from changing the settings of your display. Note that you can only have 4 characters when setting a password. It's like a PIN code. Next, we have the toolbar settings. This is for our interactive displays. So our interactive displays have side toolbars that allow you to annotate over objects, do timers and stuff like that. Here, these are the input source settings. So these are things like, will the device automatically wake up when something's plugged in, or does it automatically switch to the input? You can configure those. You also have this energy saving option. This is maybe sometimes confused with Energy Star. This is essentially a timer for when there's a no signal indicator. So for example, the display will turn off after 5, 10, 15 minutes if there is no signal or there's no input detected. So this is kind of like a backup setting from the Energy Star settings, and you can configure those however you would like to. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at apps, and so the apps are the pre-built apps that come on the display. You'll notice that you can't uninstall pre-built apps. They're part of the firmware. However, you can turn them off, and basically this disables them or hides them from the device you're using. There are also an option to look at other apps. These are basically third-party apps such as Firefox and Zoom and Teams, and same thing, you can leave these on or you can turn them off if you would like to have those on your device. Next, we'll look at system. This is just the unknown sources option, so we'll recommend having that off so people can't install unknown apps on your devices. And then finally, we have the system update. This is where you can change the firmware settings, so you can essentially say, yes, we want it to auto check for firmware, or you can set it to a specific schedule. Maybe you would like it to only check for firmware on certain days at certain times and then run that update. Make sure you select OK once you have all of your settings, and then that will save your profile. And we can see here that we have our profile name, Office A. In order to deploy this profile, we need to come to the right and find the Assign Profile button. This will let us assign our profile to individual devices, which we see here, or groups of devices. And we could select all of our groups, but let's just select one device here. And we'll select OK, and then this is going to push that profile out to that ViewSonic device. We'll get a result notification here that shows us that all of the settings we configured in the profile were successfully deployed to that device. That's what the green check marks are. We can also go back at any time and find this assignment history button on the top left. What this does is it lets us go back and see profiles that were assigned. And then I can come in here and see that, yes, this profile was accurately assigned. Now, one of the things you can do is you can actually assign profiles from the All Devices list. So the way that we do this is you select individual or multiple devices, and the remote control on the left pops open, and you'll see that the profile icon is there in the middle, kind of. And then from the list, you can choose the profile you would like to assign, select OK, and just like before, we will get that notification that shows us the results of the profile assignment.